Man, it's freezing. That door's heavier than I remember it. My first memory of TBC is coming in through here, where that used to be an office. Do you remember that, if you're old enough? Little hatch there, and Daphne Duke would open it and say hi. But she wasn't in there when I first came in, because I came in for Boys Brigade, and there was a lady that was sat here behind one of these tables, and she would take down your name on the register. I can't remember her name, but she was quite fearful to me as a 5-year-old boy. The first week I came in, she said, name? And I said, Neil Durling. She said, Neil Darling, and wrote it down, ticked it off. Second week, Neil Darling. And I said to my mum when I got home, Mummy, I'm not Neil Darling, I'm Neil Durling. She said, well, you're going to have to tell her then, aren't you? And for me, there was a battle that next week as a 5-year-old. Do I actually go back to Boys Brigade, or do I just say stuff it? Have I got the courage to say to this lady, my name's Durling, not Darling? And I got there, Neil Darling, and my name's Neil Durling. Oh, sorry, dear. And then she changed it. And then I grew up in this place. I remember when there were notice boards here, 2 of them. And one of my contemporaries used to catch dragonflies and pin them to them by their wings. It's quite disgusting, really. I remember flirting with girls in these corridors. I remember here when it was steps and not slopes. Look, come through, look at this. We're decorating all of this at the moment, and then there's this really weird garden. Look, come look at this. This is really quite strange. It's just like in the middle of nowhere. I thought, is this actually the Garden of Eden? Is this where it all actually began, and then God banished Adam and Eve from here? But there's a guy called Reverend James Henry Blake, who was one of the ministers here for many, many years, a good minister of Jesus Christ. I didn't know at that point that I would be a minister, and my hope is that I will be a good minister going forward. What do I mean by good? I mean someone who welcomes people, because I think the default position of the church should be that everyone is welcome just as they are. We want to see people become more like Jesus, absolutely. But that's our default that we grow from. That was my experience when I came here as a 5-year-old boy. I was welcome just as I was. I wasn't an Austin. I wasn't a Butcher's. I was just a Durling. I was not one of the in families, those families that have done so much for the church. I was a nobody off the local estate. And this church, you, welcomed me in, played table tennis with me when I wasn't any good, had a second team in the football team because I wasn't any good, and then even a third team that I was in only just because I wasn't that good. You let me play drums in church once with Andy Blundell tapping his foot whilst playing the guitar to keep me in time. I was so nervous. When I was 16, you let me preach there on Rahab the prostitute. Why did I choose that as a 16-year-old boy? You let me go to Speldhurst and preach there, to Rust Hall and preach to 6 old ladies and a dog. You sent me to Bible college. I can truly say that I have been welcomed just as I am by you. Let's continue to do that for everyone, shall we? So that we reflect that early church in Acts chapter 2, where they shared with one another and God added to their number daily. I'm going to get away from this garden, it's freaking me out a bit. See you.